In that connection, we are introducing very stringent legislation. As you are aware, we have cancelled and closed down all alcoholic outlets that are licensed contrary to the law, especially the law relating to Alcoholic Drinks Control Act, and therefore all alcoholic outlets within 300 meters to public amenities, including basic education institutions, must be closed. And all the licenses that were issued by the different county governments have been revoked as a national security measure. Secondly, we are going to introduce new laws. These laws will categorize those who manufacture, sell, distribute, and consume hard drugs, psychotropic substances, and illicit killer brews. We categorize them as dangerous criminals, and we will be prosecuting them using the most punitive measures that are ever found in our statute books. In other words, where we have placed terrorists, organized leaders of organized crime, including banditry, that's where we have placed those people who are engaged in this destructive business. Since this is a national security threat, we will not entertain any commercial, economic, or social interests to override the national security interests. And therefore, we are not against businesses, we are not against the people enjoying life, but we have a duty to protect the nation from itself, because we can destroy ourselves through our freedom and through our commercial interests. This is purely a law enforcement measure. It is not linked to politics of any side. It is not linked to business and all the other issues. And for that reason, the operation must be left entirely to law enforcement agencies. The multi-agency teams that are mandated to enforce the law are the only one who are allowed to take part in this operation. We don't want to see politicians engaged in operational issues, conducting raids. That is not their work. Let our brothers and sisters who are elected leaders serve the people according to their mandate, which includes building schools, hospitals, providing water and electricity. They must stay away from law enforcement and leave it exclusively to law enforcement agencies. The Administration Police Service, the DCI, and the NIS, and all the other agencies that are represented here in Machakos for doing a good job. Generally, the county is okay. However, we have noted we have a number of problems that we must address. And today, this afternoon, we just want to assure the people of Machakos that we are rolling out a new strategy for security management to make sure that this county is even safer, more secure, and so that we can provide a conducive working environment for the people of Machakos to carry out their duties, their day-to-day activities, so that we build our county and we build our country. We do have a number of challenges which we have to work on. The first one, as you're aware, we have rolled out a nationwide campaign and security operation to apprehend and neutralize the threat that is posed by traffickers in narcotic drugs, psychotropic substances, as well as illicit killer brews. For a long time in our country, we have treated the matter of narcotic drugs, psychotropic substances, and killer brews as a social problem because of what these substances do to our young people, because they lead to broken families. For a long time also, we have treated these substances as affecting our economy, because many of our people who are productive, instead of spending the day creating livelihoods for their families and building the economy, they waste time taking hard drugs and drinking killer brews. It's a nationwide problem. But starting recently, the National Security Council has determined that this problem of narcotic drugs, psychotropic substances, and killer brews is no longer just a social problem. It is no longer just an economic burden to the country. It is now an existential threat to the sustainability of our country. It is our view as the country's security managers that unless we completely destroy the capabilities of drug traffickers and those who manufacture killer brews, our country's population is going to be altered in a major and dramatic manner. And unless we stop these vices now and conclusively, 10, 20, 30 years from now, we will not have a generation that can take up civic responsibilities. We will not have journalists, we will not have police officers, we will not have farmers and teachers, nurses and all the other people that build a country. And for that reason, we have declared that those who manufacture, transport, distribute, and even consume hard drugs and killer brews and psychotropic substances, those that follow in that category are enemies of Kenya, just like terrorists, bandits, and organized criminals. And we are going to use all the resources that Kenya has. We are going to use all the security infrastructure that this country has to crush, defeat, and overcome those that are engaged in destroying future generations by enslaving our children in hard drugs and killer brews. Na ikuwe fupi, na isiwe mbili tafadhali.
Asante sana waziri. My name is Enoch Musui from Citizen TV. What is the status of the National Police Service deployment to Haiti? And there are rumors that some officers have opted out of deployment. Is that true?
It is not true. The status is as you know it. There was a small court matter. That small matter has been resolved because the court said we needed to have a reciprocal agreement with Haiti. That reciprocal agreement has already been signed about a week ago. So we are now in the pre-deployment stage. All the other programs are in place, including the status of forces agreement and the laws on detention, arrests, and other enforcement measures are now in place. The standard operation procedures are in place, and Kenyan police officers will be just part of the multinational security mission in Haiti. Kenya is the lead nation, but there are so many other countries that have pledged to contribute troops. And this came from the mandate of the United Nations Security Council. So it's part of our international obligations. The court matter has been addressed. And that other rumor you are talking about, I think, tell the source of that rumor to return it wherever it came from. Mungu awabariki, asanteni sana. Thank you very much. I also want to underscore that other than this problem, we have a problem of land fraud in this county. Certain parts of this county, especially Athi River, Mavoko, and the adjoining areas, Kamulu and others, where land fraudsters conniving and in cahoots with corrupted public officials have engaged in fraudulent issuance of title deeds that are not genuine. Secondly, the invasion of people's private property by hired goons who are paid to unleash violence to genuine landowners. And there are others who have invaded large tracts of public land. And therefore, we are going also to come heavily to enforce the law to get rid of all organized criminal gangs that are terrorizing the people, including genuine landowners of private and public land. We know some of them are able to succeed because they are in cahoots with some crooked officials from the Ministry of Lands and the Survey of Kenya. Some are in cahoots with a few crooked law enforcement officials, including ngao officers and police officers. And therefore, we will categorize all the culprits, the land grabbers, the organized criminal gangs, the corrupted public officials, and the corrupted law enforcement officials. We'll categorize them as one. They are all criminals, and we will get rid of these criminals in the shortest time possible. We have a challenge of the transportation of aliens through this county, especially from the Kitui-Machakos Highway, but also other smaller routes in between Tala, Machakos, and some of these aliens pose a threat to our national security. And therefore, I have directed our security agencies in this county to upgrade their surveillance and law enforcement along the main highways, that is the Kitui-Machakos Highway, the Mombasa-Nairobi Highway, the Athi River Namanga Highway, but also other smaller routes in between where these criminals are perpetuating their crime. And that also includes the Thika-Garissa Highway.